Now, the Carling Black Label is an inaugural supporter of the hashtag NoExcuse movement, using the brand status as a beacon of masculinity, an open platform that challenges men to take a stand and to take action against gender-based violence. Now, this bold movement was launched in November of 2017, and the holistic approach is aimed at driving awareness, creating conversations, and really providing tools for people to take positive action as a means of driving change, boldly saying that there is no excuse for men to abuse, to stand by and do nothing when others abuse. Now, the Mamelodi Sundown senior coach, Steve Komphela, has been part of the movement in helping especially footballers to be exemplary in society. And the coach joins me here in studio to talk about this and football-related matters in South Africa, including the upcoming CAF Champions League draw that will take place on Thursday in Doha, the capital city of Qatar. Coach, it's so good to have you in studio because, you know, the one thing that we have realized, especially about football in this country, is that it's more than just a game. You know, it's become such a cultural force that influences way above the pitch. Is this maybe the main idea of the hashtag NoExcuse movement?
You've put it so well, perfectly so. And beyond, more than, way beyond than sport, is a microscopic reflection of our society. What happens in society is reflected in sports. And what you see happen in sports is a reflection of our society. So it was also imperative for us, Bernard Parker, Linda Mtambo, and all these ambassadors to say, we say there's no excuse for gender-based violence. And when us sports people say that, there are so many followers. People look at us and people admire. Some don't like us. But when you say something so profound, irrespective of the position of a person, they listen. Because some of even your haters, when you start speaking, they may be in the same situation and position of saying, but what am I doing as a person when it comes to GBV? And when we advocate for this, say, no excuse for gender-based violence, simply means that our society has to find a way to influence sport, and sport must also find a way to be involved in social ills. And this is what we're trying to achieve.
I'm so glad that you've put a voice, you know, to something that is so important. And of course, because of time, I really want us to dwell on what's happening on the pitch as well. We know that the Nedbank Cup quarterfinal draw is taking place in just a couple of minutes' time. Sundowns is, of course, there. Were you happy with how you performed yesterday? Because we thought we'd see an avalanche of goals against Mpeni home defenders. It wasn't to be.
The universe favors the underdogs, I would always say. And these teams are not easy. One has to give great respect, but expectation is there. Obviously, Mamelodi Sundowns are a big team. And also the draw will give a reflection of who we come across. And looking at what has happened, teams get lesser. And it means the lesser the teams, the higher the level of quality, because those who are remaining there are the ones who've got better capacity. So are we likely to see some of the big shots coming against each other? There's a possibility. And then we are waiting anxiously. And we're saying the primary objective of yesterday was to win a match and get into the next round and look into that. Because in any environment in sports, the same like in the campaign we're doing, there's two things. You either get built or you get revealed. So whatever setback you go through builds you. And if the setback is so huge, yet you overcome it, it reveals your character. So it's character building as well. There's nothing like a loss in sports, depending on where you stand, because that loss could be a learning experience.
Absolutely. How have you been taking the personnel changes at Sundowns? Of course, Kadosa is now the man in charge, also bringing in a couple of new players.
It's great. Change will always be unique in its many ways, because it goes back to what I had said 2015, when I said in any situation where there's team development, there's a forming stage. And after the forming stage, there's a storming phase. After the storming phase, there's a norming phase. After norming phase, performing phase. After performing phase, then it's excellence. So you're asking yourself, okay, I'll go more to a principle than the position you're asking me. In any situation, any institution, any club, even any working environment, when there's a new staff member, even in your house, when you have a new pet, there's going to be a storm. Because now it's a question, are they taking up my space? Are they going to be sleeping at my couch? What's happening here? Because there's a new member, or even if a new baby is born, there's going to be that storm. Then it's going to be a norm. then we perform, and then there's that excellence at the end. So it is just a natural phenomenon. It becomes easy when you are aware, but more difficult if you are unaware. So the fact that we are aware that, okay, there's a change, and you can never stay in a perpetual state of building. If you are forever in the perpetual state of building or forming, you will forever be storming. So quickly you have to have that bond, come together, understand everybody, and then be seamless, be together, have the camaraderie and chemistry, and then you perform.
Sure. And of course, in terms of draws, we spoke about the Nedbank Cup draw, which will be taking place in a few minutes' time, but also later on in the week on Thursday is the CAF Champions League draw. And there is a possibility that you could be facing Pirates in the Nedbank Cup quarterfinals and Pirates in the CAF Champions League quarters. That could be interesting.
It's beautiful in my opinion. The excitement of sports is right there. And when you look at it from outside, away from being I'm from Sundown, somebody's from Orlando Pirates, it's a reflection of South African football. If you have maybe teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona coming from the same country, or you have Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund coming from the same country, or you have 4 teams from the English Premier League, it tells you about the quality of the league. So when you have Orlando Pirates, you have Kaizer Chiefs, you have Mamelodi Sundowns, then it tells you that, oh, okay, there's something happening in the Premier League. And indeed, this league is not easy, very competitive. It's good to see more teams from South Africa campaigning in the Champions League. And Champions League is not easy.
And for this one, I'm going to ask for a straight answer.
Okay.
With the Nedbank Cup draw, who would you like to see in the next round and also in the CAF Champions League?
I just want Masandawana to come support us.
When you see, I asked for a straight one.
That's the straightest answer you can ever get from me. Anybody, we just have to be ready and enjoy the moment, embrace the occasion, because we always say memories are built from moments. The minute we can go through this moment of this tournament at this stage, coming season, irrespective of the outcome, when you look at it, it would be memories. So it is better that we make memories good enough, moments good enough that our memories become the best.
And of course, for Bafana, they will also be preparing for the AFCON. The draw took place a couple of weeks ago. Angola, Zimbabwe, Egypt in that group. What do you make of that opposition?
At international level is different kettle of fish, the composition of players as well. But one good thing one has to look at from a South African point of view is that the coach now has more of a wider basket to choose from when teams perform better, which is the benefit of being in the CAF Champions League as 2 teams from South Africa. Then there's a vast net to choose from in terms of players. And just go in there. Group stages, they have their dynamics. You must have your strategy in terms of which points do you target. And above all, go through the group stages and then get into knockouts. And then that winning formula comes in. You start having a sense of belief because you have been tested, you passed the test, you are now trusted. Then there's that level of confidence and faith, and then you fly. Tournaments can be tricky. You may have a bad start, catch up, and then fly, or have a good start and just catch a hell of a fire. But sometimes good teams start bad and can rise. I hope South Africa, because we are more on an upward trajectory. We're doing well, players are playing good football, there's great support. Supporters must be commended. They come in numbers. And you should never underestimate the number of supporters on the field. They bring different energy. When we see South Africans supporting Bafana like that, you see the level of performance ups a bit from the players.
I mean, we've spoken about the great things in football as we wrap things up, but we can't not speak about this cloud that's kind of hanging over the football fraternity, because there is a huge possibility that you could be facing the winner of that Royal AM Milford Sekhukhune United match. If it were up to you, what do you think should be the way forward in terms of these matters related to Royal AM?
Well, situations like these are situations where you look up to the leadership you have. And I think the leadership in the country in terms of football is capable enough to go beyond even challenges that not anyone could. And South Africans as a nation, there was a guy I had a discussion with of different racial profile. This guy was saying South Africa just has the ability to solve problems, even at situations where you say, but there's no way out. That's us as a nation. The minute we as a nation can recognize that we are unique, we have ability to pull magic, we should embrace that. But you can only embrace what you acknowledge and see. So we should be aware enough to pick that up and make it one of our core qualities as a nation. And I think in this scenario it is possible.